1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock.
By the 1950s, the civil rights movement was in full swing. Leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X led their followers in the struggle that was African American rights in the United States of America. Negro citizens, those of African descent, were enslaved until 1865, but although free, many people still viewed them as second-class citizens. A series of laws given the derogatory nickname Jim Crow laws made systematic racism legal in the United States, particularly in the South. Black citizens were restricted access to restaurants, bathrooms, and other common services, including schooling. In the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, one of the most important moments in the civil rights struggle was about to take place, challenging the restriction to equal schooling. A series of cases from 1936 to 1954 resulted in the Supreme Court case of Brown versus the Board of Education. In a case handled by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and Thurgood Marshall, who would go on to become a Supreme Court justice in 1967, it was ruled that separate education facilities are inherently unequal, and thus segregation in schools is inherently unconstitutional. Following this ruling, the NAACP urged students to attend the famously segregated Little Rock Central High School, which would then cease to be segregated. Arkansas's governor, Orville Faubus, opposed the measure, famously vowing that blood would run in the streets if black students tried to enter Central High. Daisy Bates, the head of the Arkansas branch of the NAACP, selected 9 brilliant students to spearhead the desegregation movement and to attend Little Rock Central High. These 9 students, Melba Patillo Beals, Minnie Jean Brown, Elizabeth Eckford, Ernest Green, Gloria Ray Carmark, Carlotta Walls Lanier, Thelma Mothershed, Terrence Roberts, and Jefferson Thomas, would become known as the Little Rock Nine. Each student was brilliant. No school would turn them down except for reasons of race. Little Rock Central High was not only segregated, it was prestigious, voted America's most beautiful school in 1927 when it was built. A 150,000 square foot building with an 18-acre campus, Little Rock Central High was a paradigm of Southern culture. If Daisy's plan succeeded, it would be a major victory for the civil rights movement, both politically and morally. The toppling of the segregated stronghold that was Little Rock Central High would send shockwaves across the nation. On September 4th, 1957, the students attempted to enter the school, but mobs of people came out to oppose the measure, chanting racial slurs and threatening violence. The mob was motivated by religious and ideological principles and carried signs that showed it, some even bearing the name of the Ku Klux Klan, a famous white supremacist group. On top of that, the National Guard, under the command of Orville Faubus, was deployed to keep the students out. Yet again, the NAACP and Thurgood Marshall took action, winning a federal district court injunction that prevented the governor from restricting the students' access to the building. President Dwight Eisenhower, upon hearing of the situation, left his vacation home in Newport, Rhode Island to talk with Governor Faubus about his actions. Along with societal pressure, he was also motivated by letters from the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. urging him to let the kids attend. Facing pressure from the president, Faubus agreed to protect the students by using the National Guard. On September 23rd, upon returning to Little Rock, he dismissed the National Guard, going back on his word. This left the students exposed to an angry white mob. Violence erupted and the mob attacked 7 reporters. Fearing for the students' safety, they were evacuated at lunchtime by local police forces. His hand now forced, Eisenhower sent in the 101st Airborne, nicknamed the Screaming Eagles. The soldiers surrounded the school while Commanding General Walker addressed the 800 to 900 students gathered in the auditorium. He warned them that he would not hurt the students, but he would carry out his orders to segregate the school and protect the 9 black students who were about to enter. On September 25, 1957, at 9:22 a.m., the soldiers surrounding Little Rock Central High pushed forwards to allow a jeep manned with soldiers and a station wagon carrying the students to be let through. Soldiers then escorted the mob into the school. Shortly after, 28 students left the school in protest. At 11:30 a.m., a bomb threat was reported in the school, so a fire drill was called. All the students left the building and stood on the school grounds, heckling the soldiers and shouting chants supporting the Little Rock Central High football team. Later that week, many of the soldiers present attended the football game to support Little Rock Central High. The mob roared in approval of the students exiting during the fire drill because they believed they were also protesting desegregation. One unknown student had the bravery to talk to the press over a radio broadcast. She expressed that she did not want to go to the school with them, but then continued. "I will because it is the law," she said. "I may not be in school tomorrow because of what I am saying now. If parents would leave us alone, we would work this thing out. There might be some bloody noses, but it would work out. We are not afraid of 9 Negro students in the school, but we are afraid of our parents and what they will do." She seemed to get support from many of the other students when she talked about supporting desegregation. Students feared the repercussions from their parents, so they were fearful of supporting the desegregation movement. One reporter, Glenn E. Smiley, noted that there was a major showing of white people to support the Little Rock Nine, showing that the issue was not confined to boundaries of race. Unfortunately, trouble did not end that academic year. Governor Faubus was re-elected the following year in 1958. Instead of allowing integration in his schools, Faubus closed all of Little Rock's public schools, pending a public vote. Little Rock citizens voted 19,470 to 7,561 for segregation, so the schools remained closed. Many other southern cities followed this example, shutting down their schools for both white and black students in order to prevent black students from attending. Some places in the South would replace the schools with private, segregated academies that were only for white students. Little Rock's integrated schools would eventually reopen in 1960, and the fight for integration would continue throughout this decade. When Faubus closed Little Rock Central High, only Ernest Green had completed his high school education. The others of the Little Rock Nine group had to finish their high school education elsewhere. Ernest Green went on to be Assistant Secretary of the Department of Labor under President Jimmy Carter. Minnie Jean Brown worked as a Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Department of the Interior under President Bill Clinton. Elizabeth Eckford and Jefferson Thomas joined the Army, and Melba Beals became an NBC reporter. In 1999, each member of the Little Rock Nine received the Congressional Gold Medal from President Clinton, honoring their bravery and commitment. Today, Little Rock Central High is predominantly black, about 56%. Although the school is desegregated, there are still some racial divides. In a national public radio interview, one black student, Junior Malik Marshall, described the situation.
We are desegregated. We were desegregated in 1957. So, the government and everybody around us that doesn't go to the school sees us and they say, oh, Central High School is integrated. But we're not. We're desegregated. We are not integrated because integration comes from the heart of the people that go here. Integration is not something that somebody can tell you to do. It's something that you have to want to do. And if the people in the school don't want to do it, it doesn't happen.
Marshall takes advanced placement, or AP courses, and says he's usually one of just a few African-American faces in mostly white classrooms. So his friends tend to be white.
It's kind of like this barrier between me and the other black people just because they know that I like to hang out with white people. And then it's also like the white people that I hang out with, it's just kind of like it's like I'm physically look different. Like I'm very singled out in that group, but like these are the people that I know, and so it makes me feel like I don't belong anywhere.
One other student, Darius Porch, also noticed the disparity.
This school is integrated, but I don't feel like we are as one.
The Little Rock Nine and the push for desegregation had a lasting impact on the United States education system.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on.